present some results for Seidfjellet. That is the formation that I'm studying for my PhD in Tromsø. And yeah, you see Lavatoppen and Dimitri has a scale. So almost the same size, exactly. So just a brief introduction. We know where we are. So in Woodfjorden, in northwest Spitsbergen, and I'm studying the Seidfjellet formation. So these Miocene flood basalts that are capping the Devonian sandstone in Andresland. And they have quite a big area of exposure. So over 40 kilometers north-south and 50 east-west. And the elevation goes from 620 to 1,000. And the elevation is lower in the north and higher in the south. So it's gently inclined towards the northwest. Age is about 15 plus minus 2 million years. And the fundamental literature, if you want to know something more about Seidfjellet, is in these three previous works that are quite famous and fundamental for Seidfjellet. So our starting point of our project was the core samples from Cromwell 2013. Was a completely different work, but they did some paleomagnetic studies, and they collected some samples with the SP from 05 to 13 in Okstindanet and Prismefjellet. And so we started with this, and we will see the results from this because the ones that we collected this year, they are still in the process to be ready for analysis. And in field season 22, so last summer, Sebastian, my supervisor, he collected some samples from the top of some location of Seidfjellet. So, and we have them here, so 9 samples. From 2022 that were also analyzed for chemical results. The target for the season 23, so the summer where I was in the expedition, are listed here, and we almost did not all of them, but the most important of them, and we sampled Prismefjellet, Skottkjeltifjellet, that was shown by both Agnes and Sverre before, Lavatoppen and Prinsetoppen that you can see in the map. So after these 2 seasons, we have a total number of 107 samples that we carried down the mountain, so we have to analyze. It was quite heavy. And there are some new locations, as for example the dike that also Agnes was showing in this southwest valley here. Or yeah, maybe I should use the mouse. Yeah, here. That is also unknown if it belongs to Seidfjellet or not. So we will have to analyze it and see what it tells us. So how is Seidfjellet in the field? So we have seen already some pictures. So we have this massive bounded lava flow in Lavatoppen. So again, with Dimitri's scale, with this thick lava flow at the base of Lavatoppen, and then we have these particular features of these valley infills of lava flows as Skottkjelti that we also. Okay, I have to use the mouse. Sorry, thank you, Sasha. So that also shows some. Shallow water environments or subaerial eruptions or emplacements. In particular, here we have Skottkjelti, the unknown name peak in front of Skottkjelti actually, and we can see here the very coarse and almost olivine, like almost gabbroic rock, very olivine rich. And then we have at the base, as also Sverre mentioned, the phreatic deposit that in the other side of Skottkjelti is more a yellowclastite, and here is similar to a tuff. Yeah, so in front of the unknown named mountain, we have Seidfjellet itself, and we can see the yellow clastite deposit with the pillow basalts and a basaltic dike that was mapped with the drone by Kim, and that was also sampled by Dimitri and me and Anniken. Okay, but we also see clear subaerial signs in the lava flows, especially in the thinner lava flows. So we have these POI surfaces. We can see with the mouse here, with clear rope structures and oxidation of the lava flows, like between the lava flows. And we also found at Seidfjellet a lava tube structure that is highlighted here in this square, and that is a clear sign of flood basalt. Okay, so how does it look like Seidfjellet in a smaller scale? So thin sections. We can see that the olivine is mainly as a glomerophilic texture, so agglomerates of olivine that are often subhedral or anhedral, but they can also be euhedral in a smaller scale. And they have several spinel inclusions with chromium and also titanite. And in a smaller scale, so in microphenocryst, the olivine is more euhedral, so from subhedral to euhedral. And we can see here some specimens that have a quite clear shape of the olivine, both in plane polarized light and cross polarized light on the right side. In some samples, so in Seidfjellet on the east side of the Seidfjellet area, we have found zone olivine with a magnesium-rich core and the rims towards iron-rich composition, so has a normal, like a direct zoning of the olivine. And it's also found some clinopyroxene as a poikilytic. Here there is a small scheme of development of poikilytic structure. So it's basically a different order of crystallization. And we have the clinopyroxene that is often found as poikilytic. And then we have found some a specimen of zone plagioclase that we have also seen at the LC mass, yeah, CMS. So then speaking about geochemistry, that is the main focus of this work. We have not finished. We have some problems with the XRF, so we have to do the bulk composition somewhere else, not in Tromsø. It takes time. Trace elements, they are in the process, but we have done some major elements in the olivine and isotopes of strontium, neodymium, and hafnium, as Sverre shown already the same procedures, geochemical procedures. So about the major elements, we can see calcium against magnesium number, where magnesium number is magnesium over the sum of magnesium and iron in olivine. And we can clearly see that the quaternary, I have to use the mouse, the quaternary, the purple samples, so of Woodfjorden volcanic complex, so Seidfjellet, Avdalpiggen, and Sigurðarfjellet, they are towards a very poor calcium component and high magnesium, as sign of a clear mantle-derived origin, while we have the samples of Seidfjellet that are clustered in different groups according to different locations, and they are going towards a more rich calcium, so towards a more magmatic origin. So our questions are, okay, so if we see that there are some arrays, some clusters, how these clusters are shown in the sequence. So is it from a youngest or oldest, or is it from an aerial point of view, like spatial, or from east to west, from north to south. So we need further analysis, and that's why we went there to sample all the sequence of the lava flows, because we want to know if there is an array of these trends and these clusters. The same we can see with the nickel, and so is the same graph, is the same chart, magnesium number and nickel. We have again the quaternary, very rich in nickel and very rich in magnesium. That's also shown mantle-derived origin, and then we have the Seidfjellet with all different colors for the different locations. And here the clusterization is even more visible because we have different trend lines and different groups for different locations that are not so far away each other. So yeah, again, is the same question. And about the nickel, there was from Geochemistry, I don't know how to pronounce the name, I'm sorry, but there was a suggestion that the nickel was suggest an enrichment of nickel towards the west, because there is the influence of the Gnipovich ridge. And we can see that the Woodfjorden, that is in the west, has this enrichment, but we also have Binna, that is the blue trend line here, that also has an enrichment in nickel and is very far in the east. So we need to understand a bit more why we have these trends and what they mean in terms of age or areal of the region. Then we go to the isotopes. So we've seen clearly major and trace elements in group in clusters. So they group in cluster according to the location they are, but the isotopes show some trends. And the difference between cluster and trends, well, I think we know, all know what it is, but so the trend is something continuous that goes from one location to the other, and it's not clustered, but it has a line that can join all the location we are looking at. So for the isotopes, just a brief introduction. We use neodymium and hafnium isotopic system because we have to recognize different sources, and neodymium is isotopic, is the radiogenic product of samarium that is more compatible in the mantle, so it will stay in the mantle. So when we see, and samarium will decay in neodymium. So when we have a high neodymium ratio, as for example in the DM, so in the depleted mantle, that means that the mantle that is something that shows the mantle composition that is depleted with the incompatible. So it's a mantle that overwent partial melting and that kept all the more compatible elements in it. While for the hafnium is the same result, but is the opposite mechanism. So hafnium, the stable hafnium goes in the zircon, so in the crust. And when we have a very low hafnium, it means that all the hafnium on the denominator is in the crust, and we have a very low hafnium as product of lutetium in the crust. So we have high hafnium, high neodymium for the depleted mantle, so mantle that underwent partial melting. And then we can see that the quaternary, so the pink purple, they are more close to the depleted mantle, that is also the source of the morgues, so mid-ocean ridge basalts. And we have an array towards an enriched mantle, so more similar to the OIB, Oceanic Island Basalt mantle of Seidfjellet. So from the quaternary to Seidfjellet, but also within the different series, so in Seidfjellet and in quaternary, we have a trend towards an enrichment, enriched source, mantle source. We see the same with the strontium. So in neodymium against strontium, we see the same array. So we have high neodymium for the more mantle-derived quaternary lavas of Seidfjellet and all these locations. And then we have a trend towards more enriched source of the basalt for Seidfjellet. But we here I put as reference points 2 different OIB type lavas. And as we can see, there is a more strontium enriched on the right side in the kind of brown color, where the value of neodymium is more or less the same, but we have more strontium, and strontium indicates a crustal contamination in the source. So so that means that there was a crustal contamination in the source of these Seidfjellet basalts. So they are not standard OIB basalts. So as a conclusion, yeah, we can see that the analysis so far, they agree with the previous literature, and we can discriminate a clear mantle-derived magmatism for the quaternary olivine. That is confirmed in major and trace elements and in isotopes, as we have seen with the depleted mantle. And then we have the major and trace elements of Seidfjellet that group in clusters, and they group according to the different locations that they were taken. So we need a systematic study of these locations and the lava flows and the sequence of the lava flows to find what these clusters represent, if the age or is a spatial influence. And finally, we have the isotopic signature of Seidfjellet that represent an enriched source. So the OIB basalts with low neodymium. But we have this high strontium that represent a crustal or tell us about a crustal contamination of the source for these basalts. So yeah, these are the results so far. We still have a lot to do, and we hope to do some more analysis to understand more about this location. And if you have questions, I'm here, and I have a poster, or you can find my email.
Thank you very much, Maria. So if you have questions, please, as Maria said, send
an
email or...
sorry, I forgot this.